Welcome to our HEAT podcast. HEAT stands for Americans for Honesty, Ethics, Accountability, and Transparency in Government. Each week, we will discuss pressing political issues, elected officials in local, state, and federal government, candidates for office, and the current administration. We welcome you today, and we look forward to your comments. We can be reached through our website, heatgovernment.org, on Twitter at @heat_govern, or on Facebook at Heat and Politics, or of course our YouTube channel. I hope you had a happy 4th of July and were able to celebrate the independence of America. I'd like to talk to you today about the Despotism of America. Black's Law Dictionary, first published in 1891, defines despotism as that abuse of government where the sovereign power is not divided, but united in the hands of a single man, whatever may be his official title. The will of the founders explicitly denounced this form of governmental action. They said, and further explained their ideals in the Declaration of Independence. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a designing to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. The founders, during the composition of the Federalist Papers that led to the Constitution, pointed out their profound desire to avoid despotism 15 times in Articles 1 through 84. Our Constitution clearly outlines the separation of sovereign powers in Articles 1, 2, and 3. In Article 1, Section 1, it clearly defines the establishment of Congress. It was set up as a bicameral house that was divided into the House of Representatives and the Senate. Each house of the Congress has specific qualifications for eligibility to office, and moreover, different basic requirements for the performance of their elected duties. Each member swears the following oath to the Constitution. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help me God. Article 2 provides the President with the executive powers often spoke of. The powers of these include those powers granted by the acts of Congress, implied powers, and also a great deal of soft powers that is attached to the presidency. An act of Congress is a statute enacted by the United States Congress and voted on and put into law. It can either be a public law relating to the general public or a private law relating to specific institutions or individuals. Implied powers in the United States are powers authorized by the Constitution that, while not stated, seem implied through powers that are expressly stated. Alexander Hamilton produced what has now become the doctrine of implied powers. Hamilton argued that the sovereign duties of a government implied the right to use such means. Hamilton noted that the General Welfare Clause and the Necessary and Proper Clause gave elasticity to the Constitution. Soft powers involve shaping the preferences of others through appeal and attraction. A defining feature of soft power is that it's not coercive. The currency of soft power includes culture, political values, foreign policies, and recently, the term has also been used in changing and influencing social and public opinion through relatively less transparent channels such as social media, political rhetoric, lobbying through powerful political and non-political organizations, and most distinctly recently, economic indicators. Article 3 outlines that the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under the Constitution and the laws of the United States, and treaties that are made with other countries that are made under such authority. Clearly, with forethought of prosperity, the founders set forth three separate and equal branches of government, with sovereign powers enumerated to ensure checks and balances to prevent one branch of government becoming more powerful than the other two. Congress and the two-party system, spoken about by George Washington's farewell address, is often remembered for its warning against hyperpartisanship. The alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge, natural to party dissension, which in different ages and countries has perpetrated the most horrid enormities, is itself a frightful despotism. Soon after, John Adams, Washington's successor, similarly worried that a division of the Republic into two great parties is to be dreaded as a great political evil. We as a nation have become accustomed to a two-party political system. We have the Republicans and we have the Democrats. In the current administration, hyperpartisanship has become abundantly clear. Divisiveness spurred by Trumpism has become the style of our political times. As we approach the election of 2020, political norms have gone by the wayside. According to the 2019 legislative record of the House of Representatives, the House had passed more than 275 bipartisan bills in that congressional session that were struck down in the Senate, where Mitch McConnell refused to bring them to the floor for debate or vote. In 2018, the 116th Congressional House of Representatives passed 569 bills not voted on by the Senate. But, according to factcheck.org, a nonpartisan fact-checking organization, it's not unusual for the Senate not to act on hundreds of House bills, regardless of party control. The results of a 538 and SurveyMonkey poll conducted in June of that year found that one of the most indicative variables in determining Republican identification in 2016 was agreement with the statement that the number of immigrants who came to the United States each year should be decreased. Trump's 2016 campaign kicked off with a speech that labeled Mexican immigrants as the dregs of society. Do you remember that? He claimed that they were bringing in crime, that they were rapists. And since then, he has hammered on immigration issues ever since. He's built a wall. He's added Muslims to the dragnet of groups deemed undesirable by the Republicans in the United States. The election here has taken on a distinctively racial tinge, and the current Black Lives Matter movement has exacerbated this with racial ideologies that some of its followers have taken too far. After the murder, of George Floyd, there have been protests in almost every single major metropolitan city. Trump's strategy, while winning him the GOP nomination, in the short term has likely only served to compound the long-term demographic and ideological problems the Republican Party has long known it faces. Over the past few decades, the GOP has remained largely white, often more educated and older. The author Claire Malone described the summer of 2016 as the end of the Republican Party. The party has been growing more conservative and less tolerant of the deviations from their doctrine, and many Republicans, too many to even number, have switched to the Democratic Party or to an independent base. As we speak about the presidency, the concerns of many Americans are Trump's inconsistencies in his policies, his torrid political rhetoric, and his desire to govern in an autocratic, chaotic, and divisive way. He has turned the Republicans into what I call the Republic clans, telling Mitch McConnell what to do, how to direct the Republican caucus in both houses in a tight partisan line, governing them with fear of retribution for their thoughts against his thoughts or ideas, such as a fear of the retribution that throughout his administration, voicing your opinion, testifying before Congress, whether or not under subpoena, is assuredly the fastest way to be removed, transferred, or fired from your post. Several honest and honorable career diplomats have resigned because of his despotic words. Additionally, inspector generals with oversight of his most powerful departments in government have been removed for investigation the president does not want to be revealed. We've called those the Friday Night Massacres. Trump has also taken control of the Justice Department by releasing Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who appointed, a well-respected attorney and prolific investigator to look into Russian interference into the 2016 election. Bob Mueller, if you remember. The current Attorney General, William Barr, has allowed the president to interfere. He interfered with the investigation, and now he's interfered with several prosecutions of federal law. He allowed the Secret Service and many other federal law enforcement officials to use fear, explosive shot grenades, and weapons, shooting pepper balls at peaceful protesters and journalists in clear violation of our First Amendment rights. While he preaches about law and order, he broke the law. As of June 3rd, 2020, the United States Senate has confirmed 198 Article 3 judges nominated by President Trump, including 2 associate justices of the Supreme Court, 51 judges for the United States Courts of Appeals, 143 judges for the United States District Courts, and 2 judges for the United States Court of International Trade. There are currently other nominations to other courts awaiting Senate action. The president has taken over that branch of the government to allow the executive branch and the judicial branch to operate at his whim or disposal. There are 2 vacancies currently on the U.S. Court of International Trade and 4 announced federal judicial vacancies that shall occur before the end of President Trump's first term. 1 for the Court of Appeals and 1 for the district courts. Trump has done one thing. He has not made any recess appointments to federal courts according to Judicial Tracking, an independent website that tracks how the Justice Department is done. This country has been plunged into despotism. The very fear of the founders has been believed. What's more, the Republican Party has lost the intestinal fortitude to defend the Constitution. With Trump's control of the 2 other branches of government, he has destroyed our democracy in less than 4 years with Trumpism. Trumpism is a concept, and now in the slang dictionaries and Wikipedia, that describes a political ideology and a style of government of Donald Trump. More generally, the right-wing conservative, neo-nationalist, or national populist movements and their rhetoric have destroyed our Western democracy. That's it for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Listen each week as we pick a political issue that we can bring to the forefront to allow you to understand more how the government operates and works. Thank you again, and have a great day.